Hello, Podfam, and hello, Rachel. How are you today?
I am doing good. This is a bit weird because we took a little bit of a recording break. So I'm very happy to hear from you. I missed you.
Yes, it has been a little bit, mostly on my end, because one week I was sick and no one would have been able
Yep.
to hear me if we tried to record,
No.
or it would be drowned out by my coughing. It was
Yes.
not the C word, everyone. It was just a classic cold, and I was down and out for a couple days, mostly with
Also
just my
shocking.
voice.
How do we deal with
Oh my
colds
God. It was like
nowadays? Do
foreign
those
cons.
still
It was my
exist?
first cold in like 3 years. Didn't know how to cope.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I also just got back from a really nice trip last week.
Lovely.
So we also did not record last week. So it's been a little bit, but we are happy
Mm-hmm.
to be back with lots of new episodes.
Yes, yes, we are. How was your trip?
Oh, it was fantastic. And it's kind of the first like long distance, like away trip that my partner and I have
Trip,
done.
trip.
Yeah, like a real trip.
Yep.
And we just travel so well together. And that makes me
Good.
so happy. And it's kind of opened his eyes up, and he's really excited to do more traveling now.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we are looking forward to
We
our
love
next
that.
trip that will be, I don't know, in like 6 months or so. That's
Lovely.
the goal.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, I do also have an update.
Hmm.
It's not as fun, but I do have to announce to our listeners that one of our tea mascots has left us. You know,
Yeah. Oh, man. A lot has happened in the last couple of weeks.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I know we haven't mentioned our little mascots that much. Well, actually we did mention him 2 episodes ago, or I don't actually know, a few episodes ago whenever this comes out. But my little bunny Benji passed away a few weeks ago, and
Yeah.
now Sydney the kitty is she's a mascot all on her own.
Yeah. For now.
For now,
Mhm.
until I get 1 or 2 cats. I would like to. My boyfriend at the moment is like, "I would like none." And I'm like, "Well, that's gonna change."
Guess we're gonna have to compromise and get one.
See, that's why I'm playing the hardball with, like, we should get 2,
Yeah.
because then the compromise point is the one, so, yeah,
Exactly. But Benji was a great little guy.
he
I'll never
was.
forget the one time he came over to my dad's house, and we left him unattended for 5 seconds, and he managed
Yep.
to rip a painting. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that was leaning against a wall.
Mhm.
Good times. Good times, Benji. The times that you
Yep.
attacked me. Um, and then the brief
Yep.
moments where you cuddled me. I'll always treasure them.
Yep. You know, he was an opinionated little guy. See, the thing is when he passed, my boyfriend was with me and we looked at each other and we were just like, you know what? He really just drove us crazy, but we loved him. And he was like, Rachel, oftentimes he would just run away from us when we came into the room to say hi. So I think the feeling was mutual.
Aw. Oh, but he lived a
uh,
good long life for a rabbit.
he
What was he,
did. He
6, almost
did.
7 years old?
Yeah, he was about to turn 6.
Okay.
So I think, yeah, bunnies are funny. Once they get sick, it's not a good time, but he lived a great life. He was there for a lot of things, and honestly, I like to think that he stuck with me through some difficult times where it was just him and I,
Mhm.
and he knows I'm in good hands. Yeah.
Yeah, he was always your constant companion, and
Yes.
you never felt alone because he was always there with you.
Exactly. Exactly. So
Yeah.
rest in peace, Benji.
Aw,
You will always be a mascot for the tea and spirit.
absolutely.
Yeah. So what are you having to drink this evening?
So tonight I'm having a nice chill tea. I'm drinking my Lala Lavender, which is a white tea.
Lovely.
And
Lovely.
yeah, it's a Monday, which is an odd recording day for us, but it's the summertime, so like we have no schedule at the moment.
We're trying to make it work.
Yeah, and I'm just like first day back from holidays, and if you guys lived in Canada, you're probably also affected by the huge Rogers shutdown that was now
Uh-huh.
just over a week ago. So I had an extra day of vacation, which was nice yet also stressful because that Friday was my plan for like tying up all loose ends before I left. So yeah, I'm a little tired from being back in the office. So I'm hoping to have a nice relaxing evening with this tea.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to be truthful here, guys. I'm sorry. It's about 30, it's 84 degrees Fahrenheit in my apartment
That's hot.
at the
That's
moment.
hot.
So I'm having an ice water because I think if I have a tea, I might actually die
We might lose you,
inside.
which we don't want. So that's
No,
fine. That's
no.
fine. You can have your ice water today.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it, everyone. Thank you for, respecting my choices. All right, so let's get into this. This one is very random,
Yep.
but it's fun, and I mean for us, TBD for you guys yet. But we're basically just talking about our favorite things from the 2000s.
Pretty much, we've had some pretty hard-hitting episodes going on lately, and we're like, you know what? We haven't done a favorites episode in a long time. And I don't remember why we chose the 2000s, but those were good times.
See, they were, and I think partially it was because we want to tell people to not bring low-rise jeans back
Yes, this is a
and just put
PSA.
that out in the world. Yeah,
It's not coming
just
back.
don't. Spoiler alert, we don't like low-rise jeans. Um, yeah, so do you want to start or shall I?
I'll start. And my
Okay.
first one, I feel like it's a love-hate.
Yes.
Only because, it's hard for us to imagine life without them now. And now there are like, I don't know, there's a whole generation plus one that has grown up with them constantly.
Yeah.
And that would be life before a cell phone. What are your thoughts?
You know what? A flip phone is the shit.
Yeah.
Love a flip phone.
Yeah, like the Nokia that was indestructible.
Yes.
There was the
Yes.
Sidekick that was like you'd flip out the keyboard.
Oh yeah, I remember
The
those.
Motorola Razor, which was like my first cell phone in hot pink,
Yeah.
everyone, because I was like cool. But it's so different from now,
Yeah.
because like yeah, maybe some of us had cell phones in like high school, but
Mhm.
they did not have the processing capability that they do today. Like today, your cell phone is literally more powerful than any computer that we used to use. And
Yeah.
they're just constantly attached to us. Like, when was the
Mhm.
last time you left your house without your phone on or walked downstairs to your basement without your phone on you? Like it's pretty
Yeah.
damn rare. Like you always have a cell phone on you, and I just remember the times where that just wasn't a thing. We were just out
Mhm.
living our lives, and not everything was documented, mainly for
Mhm.
good reason, because I can definitely recall some outfits that I've worn and some parties that I've been to that, thank God, there is no record of them. Um, that would just be very embarrassing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I find it hard to imagine like this generation growing up that has always known cell phones being a
Mhm.
constant, because they're quite intrusive to our lives, I find.
Yeah, I think how I would almost look at this is like life before smartphones.
Yes. Yeah, life before, because really our first phones that we had were pretty dumb, and we could
Yeah.
T9 text on them. But even I remember like for the first couple of years that I had a cell phone, like I was about 14, I think, when I 13 or 14 when I got my first cell phone. Only one
Mhm.
of my friends also had a cell phone, and I don't think we
Yeah.
texted. One, you used to have to pay per text. Remember, you'd only get like
Yes.
20 text messages a month. And
My parents were so mad at me when I was like 17 on my little flip phone.
yeah, and like I remember it being a deal when you could send like 25 messages but receive unlimited, because it used to be you had to pay to receive text messages. Like,
That's
oh
wild.
my God. And like, let's not get started about accidentally opening the internet browser, where that would just cost you an arm and a leg, and like your parents would be absolutely furious with you.
Yeah, see, like when I think back on that time, it's almost like when you would text, it was to be like, "Hey, coming over to your house," or "Hey, do you want to go to a movie?"
Yeah.
It wasn't like we sat on them and like had these like hour-long plus conversations. I don't think I ever wrote a paragraph because that would take forever.
Yeah, like short form texting, like
Mhm.
that's what it was. Like, we used the you and the UR because it just took too long to T9 text
The
everything.
2 as in the number 2 to say, "I'm going to." Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
for me, like I would still just like call my friends like house phone normally at the time, say, "Hey,
same.
I'm coming over," or like, "Hey, you want to hang out?" Like you just called the house phone. because we
Mhm.
all still had landlines at the time. I remember the day my mom was like, "I'm getting rid of the landline."
Oh.
Um, she's like, the only person who calls me on it is your grandfather and telemarketers. So I think I'm just gonna, let him know we've changed our number to my cell phone, and I'm gonna get rid of the landline. It was such a huge deal. I think I was in high
Ooh.
school at the time,
My
and
parents still have their landline.
they do. I accidentally called it the other day by mistake. It was awkward.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wasn't super like an aware human being at the time where like no cell phone, like we didn't even really have flip phones.
Mhm.
Like my dad had the Nokia
Mhm.
brick phone basically,
Yep, I remember that
but
one.
it was just it didn't it was just a phone.
It
Like it didn't
was.
impede on our lives in any way. We weren't, on it playing like if you wanted to play a game on your phone, you were playing Snake.
Yeah, I remember, like, maybe Brick Breaker, but I think that was actually on the
Yeah.
original iPod.
Yes, it was on the original iPod. Yeah, like I miss the time where, I could just go without it and maybe like it was the existence of my cell phone was if I went over to a friend's house and my mom wanted to coordinate a time to pick me up.
Yeah.
That was it. And like I didn't feel the need to be like, putting myself out there on social media or, like wasting all of our time like looking through reels, which is just
Mhm.
like a time suck. And yeah, like I miss like the pure intention of what a cell phone was supposed to be, which is just a convenient phone.
Yeah, yeah, it really was just a
Yeah.
convenient phone, and, I remember my first smartphone, it was a Samsung Galaxy, and I had it, I think, my first year of university, and
Mhm.
that was, like, the rise of Instagram, barely, and, like, it would've been, like, 2011, 2012. So even, like, the apps on a phone, like, they were becoming a thing, but really, like,
Mhm.
it was pretty garbage to use.
Yeah. And like at that time you'd have like your iPod and
Yeah.
like, your BlackBerry or your Samsung Galaxy and stuff. I don't remember it having
Yeah, like, I
merged
don't
at that
remember
point.
listening to music on that phone. Like, maybe it could hold a
Yeah,
couple songs, but really, like, its capability was not that
very
great, and I
limited.
think that one still had, like, a keyboard on it. Like, it had
Yeah.
a touch screen, which was, like, really innovative, but to text, like, you still had a functioning keyboard. Oh my god, I'm thinking about how big the screen was at the time too. I'd probably need glasses now to read it. So, really, if you think of it, it's 2022 right now. Smartphones really became a thing in the past 10 years. And I was always behind on the cell phone models. So if people are like, I was on Instagram in 2011, it's just because I'm never up to date, guys. I'm sorry. I'm like always at least 3 models behind everyone else.
Same.
So yeah, like I grew up, like I lived most of my life without a smartphone, and it's just so weird
Yeah.
now in the past few years the capabilities that they can do. Like, it's a better camera. Like, I have an actual nice camera, and
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure my cell phone from
It's
that's a
better.
year old takes better pictures than my,
It's
like,
crazy.
high-end camera. So it's just wild to think about how much they've become involved in our life. And like, I know you and I, Rachel, like through the winter we tried to get off social media a lot, and like I think once summer is done, I'm gonna probably shut off Instagram again, because like I'm just finding I waste time on it. And
Mhm.
I remember when I was getting ready for a new phone, like my one that I had, it wasn't working so well anymore. I actually looked up like, okay, can I get just a basic phone? And there was like one I was able to get, but like the capabilities were so low that
Mhm.
I wouldn't be able to like do my job.
Yeah.
It was a little too basic, so I kind of wish there was that in between, where you can have
Yeah.
like a phone, it gets text messages, it gets phone calls, but you know what?
You
I don't
can't
need a
download Instagram.
freaking computer in my pocket, all
No.
right? Like, I just need a little space, and I find it so hard to do
Mhm.
something that, we didn't have for most of our lives. It's kind of blowing my mind a little bit.
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I feel
It's
like a lot of
crazy.
people are struggling with that, so I don't think we're alone there.
No, I do not think so. So, yeah, I feel like a lot of people would agree with this point that we do miss that time where you just had your little flip phone.
Yeah. Yeah, and they were
Yeah,
indestructible, those things. I
they
remember
were.
my dad's very first cell phone. He was, I think, was he doing some I don't know, he was working on a golf course at the time, and,
Mhm.
he was driving a tractor. He drove over the cell phone with the tractor, and sod got laid over top of it,
Amazing.
and they dug it out, and it still worked.
Incredible,
Incredible,
incredible.
right?
I was just thinking about, like, well, because yesterday you and I met up and I was, like, using maps
Mhm.
on my phone, and I was just thinking, like, when we were growing up and even when we had flip phones, we did not have maps.
No. Do you remember MapQuest, where you would go on
Yes.
MapQuest first and you would print off your directions? And that was innovative. Like, that
I
was our
know.
generation being like, "Oh, we don't use a map." Like one of those actually, like, map cards,
Yeah,
which I do have in my car actually, courtesy of my grandfather.
love it.
So, if one day technology is failing, like the Rogers situation, and I needed to get somewhere,
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure I could read a map.
Yeah,
But yeah, I remember MapQuest being like the thing to
yeah.
to get somewhere, and now like literally, like, "Hey Siri, take me here," and she just does it.
Honestly, honestly, like, I'm useless without Google Maps if I don't know where I'm going.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And, like, it's a problem, so maybe I just need to go on MapQuest again, test myself out, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. And I know like some people argue like, "Why would you try and make your life more difficult? Like cell phones make your life so easy." But you know what? Humans are supposed to think and use our brains a little more. And I just find for some things in life, cell phones don't need to think about that for us. Sometimes we need a little less convenience in life. Keeps us sharp.
Going back to that Rogers outage,
Yep. Oh
it would
man.
be good to have those skills.
Oh,
It would have been good to have those
lot
skills.
like if you were on Roger's internet and cell phone, like, oh man, that was a rough day for you.
I would have been
I
lost.
personally enjoyed it because I was actually home for a little bit in the morning, and I have
Mhm.
Bell internet, so like there were some people I couldn't communicate with, but if you had an iPhone, I was like no problem.
Yep.
And then I left for the rest of the day, and I was enjoying my really quiet day.
You're
I
like,
loved it.
"Peace."
I think my phone stayed in the car, and I was just like, well, it's useless, so I don't need it. And I had a good old fashioned no cell phone day.
Amazing. Alright, shall we move into the next one?
Yes.
So, mine is Harry Potter.
Of course.
And before we get into this, I am going to say I am completely aware that the author has been incredibly controversial and problematic lately. I do not support her viewpoints at all, but I do still love what Harry Potter was
Yeah.
to our generation. I just want to clear that up before we get into it. But like, Harry Potter just ran our generation.
Hmm.
That was an incredible time to be alive. Like we were talking about like, the Disney Renaissance and such and like what a time to be alive. But like I haven't seen anything like the madness of Harry Potter since then.
No.
Like nothing has compared. And I I don't know why. Like I don't know if it was because like the books were coming out at the same time and like we didn't have as much content available to us, so like the excitement would build up and like the Harry Potter trailer would come out like in July or something for a November release, that it just like it felt like a yearly thing for all of us to look forward to.
Yeah, and I feel like the Harry Potter series, I remember as a kid, it was kind of quoted that it was the series of books that got a generation reading again. That's kind of
Yes,
what I
exactly.
remember the highlight, because like there was, I don't remember a single kid who hadn't at least read one of the Harry Potter books, or like, seen the
Mhm.
movies and all that kind of stuff. Like it it
Mhm.
really did get so many people involved. And I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and say like I think it really did open up the door for teen series. And I know
Yep.
there were series before, like obviously Harry Potter was not the first, but
Mhm.
to open up that door for Twilight and
Mhm.
different series like that, uh
Yeah.
because it really did feel like after Harry Potter, all through school, elementary school and high school, like my friends and I, we rolled from one series to the next, and we were
Mhm.
all avid readers.
Yeah.
And it really
Same.
did kind of start with Harry Potter.
It also like brought families together as well because, parents enjoyed
Yeah.
reading the books to their children and going to the movies with them and such. Like I have memories of I don't know how old I was, but like I think my mom was reading like The Chamber of Secrets to me.
Mhm.
It was like a fun family activity where it was enjoyable to everyone
Yes.
who was a part of it. And yeah, it was honestly something else. But one thing like I kind of just want to talk about here is there was a couple things like Harry Potter was obviously the biggest, but in the 2000s and such, there was a lot of like media, like movies and television shows and such that when they came out, they literally like took over the world. Remember like High School Musical?
Mhm.
That was unstoppable.
Yeah.
And I wonder what are your thoughts on that? Because there's been a few franchises that have come after the 2010, like in the 2010s and such. So, like the Hunger Games would have been the last time I think I saw that kind of pandemonium
Mhm.
around it. Like, maybe the Marvel movies kind of, but like I find they don't have the same effect. So, as I was thinking about that today, I was wondering if it's because of the fact that we have so much content
Yeah.
available to us, whether TV or movies, that the hype builds up for, this one TV show and we've been waiting so long for it. But then another TV show that's just as hyped up comes out a month later. So we forget about that other TV show where we had to wait a long time for these exciting blockbusters and exciting installments of books and stuff to come out. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's where my mind was going when you asked that question, because we are literally drowning in content now. Like, there are so many streaming services and they all do original content, or they have syndications, they have new things coming out. Like, there's just always something to watch. And really, like, over the past couple of years, especially through COVID, we had Tiger King, we had Bridgerton,
Yeah.
all this stuff. But the thing is, it's just so instant now.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I find that the hype, like you said, doesn't last as long because, you get a limited series that comes out or a season, and,
Mhm.
we have people binging it in one night, right? Or over a weekend.
Yeah.
Where before, like on television and with movies, a TV season literally went
Mhm.
from like September to April or May.
Yeah.
Like it took us
With a
through
break in
most.
the middle.
Yeah, and yeah, there'd be like a mid-season break, then they'd go on hiatus for the summer, and then they'd come back in the fall. Um,
Mhm.
so it was a lot less of that like instant gratification. So
Yeah.
I think we just naturally had that more urge of like, oh, we're yearning for it, like we can't wait, but like what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
And also like, leaks didn't really happen as much anymore
Mhm.
because things weren't as digital.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's kind of like we're drowning in content, and now like when we do finally get it, we get all of it at once. So it's like a
Yeah.
giant dopamine hit, and then we're like, what's next? Like we don't get time to savor
Mhm.
anything and like celebrate
Mhm.
it for what it is, because it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're on to the next thing. So yeah, that's kind of what I loved. Like things really did get a hype. And
Mhm.
Hunger Games was also one that had quite a bit of hype as well.
Mhm.
And it was like around the early 2010s, I believe, when the movies were kind of coming out. That's kind of when I remember reading that series.
Yeah, I feel like for some, I mean, I'm probably completely wrong, but I think like Harry Potter, the movies, and the Hunger Games movies, Harry Potter ended as the Hunger Games movies were beginning. I remember them kind of being around the same year,
Yeah.
and Hunger Games might have come before. I can't, it was
No, I
around the
think
same
I think
time.
no, I think you're right. Where Harry Potter had just finished, and then we got Hunger Games, because I remember going to see
Yeah.
Hunger Games in the theater.
Yeah,
And
same.
it would have been like around 2010 or 11. We could probably look this up, but whatever. We're guessing.
We're doing our best, guys. It's hot, okay? Yeah, there was nothing quite like going to Harry Potter on the first day that a new movie came out, and people would go to the movie theater before it even opened
Hmm.
to stand in line outside so that they could go get popcorn and a good seat. Haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, and now that whole industry has changed, especially from the pandemic. Again, we've had some very influential years in the past little bit, and
Mhm.
Now it's just like that debate, like, okay, are they going to do a theatrical release, or is it going like straight to Disney Plus? Is it going straight to Netflix? Does it go to both? So I really do feel that also takes away a bit of the hype, because
Mhm.
we used to go to the movie theaters and be like, okay, what's coming up next? And I still, like, whenever I'm in the theaters, I'm just like, oh, I want to see that. I want to see that. Like, do I know what's coming on Netflix? No, no idea.
Yeah, I also think too, I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not that well versed in the YA middle grade series lately, but I also like I genuinely don't think that there has been a series like that that was so like well loved worldwide
Yeah.
after Harry Potter and the Hunger Games. Like I haven't seen that. You know, like they tried to do all like the YA adaptations and adapt all those series, but like they really just lost their hype because like each one was more and more derivative of the other.
Yeah, like it kind of had the blueprint, and so everyone was following the
Mhm.
same blueprint. And I think how you know something's going to be huge is when people across multiple generations know about it. So,
Yeah.
for us, we're in our late 20s, early 30s. I have to remember that
Mhm.
part now. I don't know what the teenagers are reading. Where
Mhm.
when Harry Potter was out and Hunger Games and like those kinds of series, Twilight, everyone knew it. It didn't matter how old you were,
Mhm.
everyone knew. And so, yeah, like you just don't get series like that that actually grab so much attention anymore.
Well, maybe there will be one in the future. We'll have to keep our ears to the ground on that one. So, yeah, what's your next one?
So my next one is the 2000s teen drama shows.
Oh my god, they
Love
were
them.
so
Oh
dramatic
my
and so
God.
unrealistic.
Yes. So they were filled with like crazy drama, incredible actors, and just memorable storylines of all time.
And
And
just a little bit of angst,
just so
just a bit.
angsty. I know,
Just
right?
a little bit.
Like why is something like this such a big deal? Or, it was just a good time for television, I find. And I know a lot of these shows are pretty toxic in some ways and probably
Yeah.
problematic. Like they don't fit now. Like you wouldn't be able to
Mhm.
release these shows as a new show in 2022. It would not
No, I
work.
don't think so.
But this was just a time in television. One of the first real teen dramas to come out was Dawson's Creek. I know there were some prior to that, like a lot of the soap operas that were
Mhm.
kind of those original dramas. But Dawson's Creek kind of set off that original like teen angst and like made it sexy and had the drama, had the beautiful people. Like the CW was known for the beautiful people. And
Mhm.
I don't know, I just love going back and watching some of these shows because like there's just so much where, one season was at minimum 24 episodes. Going
Which,
back
like,
to
what a
like,
time.
right? Like going back to when they would run from like September to May, usually got about 24 episodes about that. And I'm not going to criticize today's TV shows because there's some really good ones out there, and you can tell that there's a different writing style because in like today's Netflix like series you get maybe like 8 to 10 episodes, and the whole
Mhm.
series has been like thought out. It's all been written out, and every episode has like a purpose to it. Like
Mhm.
it has to drive the story forward because they have more limited time and they have the story planned out. Where back in these days, like literally the writers were just making it up week to week. They're like, let's do this. Yeah, yeah, let's see where this goes. Um,
Let's just drop this
yeah,
storyline and
you
bring it
know.
up 2 seasons from now.
Yeah, so like I found that you got more episodes where there was like some play to it, You'd get like a
Mhm.
random alternate universe where like roles were reversed or it was like a different time period. Um, you
Mhm.
know, yes, some of these episodes didn't really have a purpose to the main storyline or didn't drive the episodes forward, but they were just fun in general. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just kind of miss that nostalgia of TV shows. So it is a lot of fun going back and rewatching them because it puts you back in that time where, every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, my mom and I were tuning in for like One Tree Hill because we loved it.
And if you were late, nothing you could do.
Oh shit, like you
You have
had
to
to
wait for the
wait.
reruns.
If you were lucky, because a lot of these shows like weren't syndicated, so if you missed it, you missed it. And you'd have to wait
Mhm.
for like the season DVD to come
Yep.
out. And I remember like my friends and I, we would go to Walmart when these seasons would be released, and we would have like
Mhm.
the whole collection of like One Tree Hill and Gossip Girl and the OC.
Yeah. Remember when like you would be watching the show with somebody and you'd be going to like get a snack and stuff and you would just hear from the other room, "It's on." And then you would like be booking it
Yeah.
from the kitchen and like probably dropping something. I know I did.
Oh, for sure.
So, yeah, what a
Those were
time.
times. So I'd love to read off some of the best TV shows, and I highly recommend people go back and watch them. One I really want to go back and watch is the OC, because
I do too,
I do, yeah, because like I remember
desperately.
being in grade 8 in particular. And so, we were tweens, we were going into high school. So, like, just kind of figuring out who we were. And this was a show that my friends and I would get together every week in someone's basement. And, we'd get the popcorn, we'd get the nail polish out, and we would just watch, like
Mhm.
it was such a good time. Like, I don't remember watching this show by myself, it was always with a group of friends. And
Mhm.
that was just our thing every week.
Love that.
And next, one of your favorites, Rachel, Gossip Girl.
Yes.
Chaotic,
Oh my
chaotic show.
god, so chaotic.
Yes.
You and I actually don't know how many times we've watched that
I have watched this,
from
like,
beginning to
I
end.
have watched it many times beginning to end. And every time
It's
I'm just
amazing.
like, how is this a storyline? It's weird. It's wild.
It's so toxic. It's so toxic. I was like hardcore and you know what? I still am. Chuck and Blair,
Hmm.
love them. They are so
So
toxic.
toxic. Every relationship in the show
It's so
is
bad.
toxic.
It's
It
so
makes
bad.
absolutely no sense. Um,
No.
with like Dan being Gossip Girl, and it's just like, okay, someone's texting Gossip Girl and your phone is right there. Like, not suspicious that it's going off at the moment. A lot of loopholes, but we love that show for it.
You know what? Sometimes you just forget that Gossip Girl is a part of it. It's just chaotic drama, and I
Yeah.
live for it.
Yeah.
So, also, Blair's Ring, still iconic.
Mm-hmm. Next one. I didn't actually watch this show, but it was 90210.
Are you talking about like the reboot one that came out in the 2000s?
Yeah, so there's like the 90
Okay, yeah, I watched
90210
that one.
Beverly Hills, and that was back in the 90s, and that's one of the original, like it's up there with Dawson's Creek.
Mhm.
And then there was the reboot from 2008 to 2013. This one I did not watch. I think it was competing with the OC, and I remember it was either like you watched the OC or you watched 90210.
Yeah, I did watch this one and I kind of remember it was like half OC, half Gossip
Mhm.
Girl competition, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a fun show, but again, kind of outrageous storylines that you're like, how is this happening? Also, where are your parents?
Yes. I like all of them. Where are your parents? I think the OC was the only one that had parents, and I'm pretty sure it was just the one, like Seth's parents were in it.
Yeah.
I think that was
Yeah.
about it. Maybe Marissa's mother. I think she was in there too, but they didn't want to pay for extra actors, so none of these kids had parents. And
They did have parents in Gossip Girl, but they were just kind of horrible
they
parents.
were just very unattentive, uncaring
Yeah.
parents.
They were there. They just didn't do any parenting.
No, no. And then there is my ultimate favorite to this day,
Ah,
One Tree Hill, which
it
surprisingly,
warms my heart.
out of all the chaotic drama, this one was the most true to life.
It was.
And that is
It was
saying
still
something.
really
It was still
chaotic.
chaotic, but this was the most true to life.
Ah.
This one will always be a classic. If you did enjoy this show, I hope you are also listening to the podcast Drama Queens,
Mhm.
with Sophia Bush, Hilary Burton, and Joy Lenz. Like,
It's
it's so
wonderful.
good, and like I appreciate the show even more now, just because I'm learning about like they were just kids trying to figure it out, and they were also like bringing their own personalities through the show, but also trying to like maintain some distance between them. And it's just, this show was so good. Love that one.
So good.
Next one, this one was a little bit more later in the 2000s, but I still really liked it. I watched it quite a bit, and that was The Secret Life of the American Teenager. Did you ever watch that one?
Oh, no, I didn't. I think I was, like, just a little bit too young.
Yeah, this one premiered in 2008, and I really enjoyed this show. Like it's about a girl, she, accidentally gets pregnant at camp, and it wasn't the strongest show out there, yet there was still
Mhm.
something wholesome about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I kind of just enjoyed it for what it was. Also chaotic though at times.
Yeah.
And then, oh, another favorite of yours, Rachel, Gilmore Girls.
That one does have a special place in my heart.
If I don't have anything to watch and I just want something in the background, I'll throw
Mhm.
Gilmore Girls on, and I'm like, wow, this is just inserting me back into the 2000s.
Yeah. What's her name? What is it, Emily?
Emily?
Rory's grandmother?
Yes.
Ah, I love her. She's my favorite.
She's an icon.
She says some problematic
Oh my
things, and
God.
she is an
Yes.
icon.
Yeah. No, all of these shows are very problematic. Did you ever watch Laguna Beach?
No, but I watched The Hills.
Oh yeah, The Hills. And so that was like pretty much
Yeah,
the same cast, like, Lauren Conrad. Was it Lo Bosworth that was also in that as well?
I think so. I don't know if Heidi was in Laguna
Oh yeah,
Beach, but I think
Heidi.
she was.
Who knows? I don't
Yeah.
I don't really remember, but yeah, like those were the teen dramas, and then there was like the whole new class of reality TV, Jersey Shore. Ugh,
That
that
was
was junk
disturbing.
food. It was junk food, and I definitely watched a season of it.
Same.
And then The Simple Life, that was a classic. Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton, like,
It was a great time.
yep. The Hills, that's
Yep.
another one. So,
Mhm.
God, it's all bad TV. Like, it's just so bad. You loved it. And, you know, again, going back to now, TV shows are a little bit more well thought out and
Mhm.
cinematic. Where back in the
Yeah.
day, there was just like, yeah, they're on that same set doing the same thing.
Well, I think too at that time it was really like, it was portioned out. Like I think I watched TV from 7 to 9.
Hmm. Yeah, that was like prime time. You had American Idol on at that time.
Yeah, other like now I can sit down and I'll watch like 5 episodes of Stranger Things and then be like, "Wait, it's midnight?
Yeah, yeah, like
How did we get here?"
we definitely probably consume more. Like
Mhm.
I watched TV as a kid growing up. I had like cartoons and then moved into more of the teen dramas. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was just like it was only on a certain time of day and on a certain
Yeah.
day, right? Where now it's just like, well, if I feel like binging a whole TV show, I can do that over a weekend.
Yeah. I do appreciate the shows now that I think Outlander
Oh, yeah, that's a
does
good
it,
one.
and I know Game of Thrones did it when it was still a thing, with just releasing it every week.
Yeah.
Like, not just giving you it all at once, which I know, like, I can just wait and binge it if I want to, but, like, when it's with something like Game of Thrones, like, you weren't waiting.
No, like you were watching everything that came out. And I remember when TV shows kind of started doing that again, where they stopped putting whole seasons out and did like for big episodes, like big TV shows only go once a week.
Mhm.
The 100 did that as well to us. I remember that. And it was really frustrating at first because we had kind of gotten used to being able to
Mhm.
watch everything all at once. But
Yeah.
it did make us enjoy the episode, like the TV show more because we yearned for
Yeah.
it, right? Like, and we were
Yeah.
tuning in every time, like, even though it was kind of a different release time where it would be like, okay, Friday at midnight, it comes out,
Mhm.
versus, Tuesday at 6 o'clock. We were there and we were ready to watch. So, yeah, it
Yeah,
definitely amped up the hype again for these things.
for sure. Well, I think the 100 started on the CW, right?
Yes, it was a CW show before changing.
Alright. Yes. Do you have any more on your list?
No, I'm gonna stop there, or else we're gonna keep going on different TV shows, and that's not what this episode is about.
No. Well, I mean, I am kind of going into a more specific realm of TV at this time. And that was just like, I mean, it's probably not called this, but in my heart, it is just like the golden era of like Disney Channel.
Oh my gosh, yes.
In Canada, we called it Family Channel, which like is like why? But I loved the Family Channel, and I'm talking like Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, Hannah Montana, Wizards of Waverly Place. Zoe 101 was
Mhm.
not on Disney Channel, but it was Nickelodeon, so I consider it the same
Yep.
thing. Like High School Musical, like what a time to be alive. Miley Cyrus, she was going out into the world, and I love Miley Cyrus.
Yes.
I loved her then, still love her now. And I don't, they really, like we said, Disney at that time in the 90s, they really figured out like the animated movie formula.
Mm-hmm.
Like they got the Disney Channel formula hard
Oh, yeah.
during this time. Like they were just putting out banger after banger. It was good. It was a good time. I feel like if I went back, I'd be like, these shows are not good, but in my heart, they're still good.
Yeah, it was a time.
I mean, I know this was kind of a thing with like the Mickey Mouse Club and such, but like everyone became a pop star.
Yeah, it was literally like a recipe for stardom.
It was. Also, one great thing that came out of that period of time, and I was in love with them, was the Jonas Brothers.
Yes, you did love the Jonas Brothers.
I still love them. Throwback to the golden era of Disney
Yeah.
Channel. I'm probably going to go watch The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody after this because it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, and they were just those like predictable, trying to be funny, and like you kind of loved it for that.
Sometimes they had some good jokes. The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody was hilarious.
It was.
And I stand by it. I stand by it. So I don't actually have much to say on this other than just bringing it up and being like, this was a great time to exist. So sorry everybody for the excitement there. I get really that was my childhood. I was at the right age.
Yes. Yeah, you were. I was a little bit older for those ones, so I watched some of those TV shows, but not all of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Lizzie McGuire was part of this time. Did you watch Lizzie McGuire?
I had a friend who did, but I personally did not. And I think the
Really?
reason why I didn't watch a lot of these shows is we didn't have that channel.
Oh, see, my boyfriend also didn't have the family channel, and I was just like, pardon?
Yeah, I remember getting it when I was a little older, but like as a
Mhm.
kid, we had TVO, PBS, YTV, and Teletoon.
Teletoon was great.
Yeah, so like some solid channels, but yeah, we didn't actually have the family channel. I remember going to my friends and watching it, but I knew all of these TV shows. I just don't remember watching them.
Okay, that makes sense. I also have a question for you
Yes.
on the topic of YTV. Did your parents let you watch SpongeBob?
I personally hate SpongeBob.
Really?
So there was never a question of whether my parents, I don't remember my parents ever telling me don't watch this show because I watched like ER when I was really young. So
Fair enough. Fair enough.
maybe not the best way to ask that question. I definitely self-regulated when it came to TV.
Fair enough.
And yeah, I hated SpongeBob.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I learned something new about you today. I don't think I knew that.
Is it an unpopular opinion?
No, I don't think so. Like,
Okay.
I mean, I think I have like a weird nostalgia for it, but when I go back and watch it, I'm kind of like, some of the jokes they really do hit though.
I find like on Instagram and you see like a meme about it, I'm like, that is funny. But
yes,
watching the actual TV show, I was so annoyed by it. I couldn't deal.
Yeah, like I think when I look back, I was annoyed by a lot of the episodes very frequently, but then they'd get you.
Yeah.
They'd get you with a good joke that, is funny now as adults. So maybe it's like I have a nostalgic love for it because of the SpongeBob memes.
Mm-hmm.
But shall we get into our last one?
I think so. This one,
right.
pretty popular. And
yeah,
that would be the influence of all of the music that happened in the early aughts. Or as the British say, the noughties, which I love.
mm-hmm.
And the rise of the girl bands and the boy bands.
That was a good time.
It was.
Mine was the Jonas Brothers.
So you're on the later end.
I was on the tail end, yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the thick of it where some of this is kind of considered the 90s, but it did spill over into the 2000s. Mm-hmm. That would be Spice Girls, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, let's see, Venga Boys, Aqua, which that one was probably more 90s. But they're having a comeback right now with this Barbie movie I hear is coming out. I know nothing about it, but I've been hearing a lot of Aqua lately. I almost got to see Aqua on my trip, but my boyfriend and I decided to go for dinner and drinks instead. Priorities.
Fair enough.
Let's see. And then we get into the more mid 2000s where it was Blink 182. There was Green Day. Fall Out Boy, yeah, I guess that was considered, that was a 2000s band for sure. They appeared on One Tree Hill, so that definitely qualifies. There was just like such good music, and a lot of the artists like still played instruments, which I
Mhm.
find is super rare these days. You
Yes, it
know, it's very
is.
hard to get like that classic band where everyone has an instrument and there's a lead singer. Now it's all just very digital, and a lot
Mhm.
of the artists like don't actually know how to play an instrument.
Yeah. I feel that. I think that's why I actually like the Jonas
Hmm.
Brothers because they were sort of, well, they were a bit more of a thing before like Justin Bieber came on the scene and then like One Direction
Yeah.
not too long after. But I really liked them because like they were the same. Like they knew how to play guitar and the drums and the piano and such. And like in their shows, that's what they would do.
Yes.
You know, like it still felt like they were like all well rounded musicians, you know?
Yeah. I guess I better say, like, obviously In Sync, Backstreet Boys, and Spice Girls, they were not playing instruments, but
Fair enough.
for them, they're in a special category where it was all about like the dance, right? Like the choreographed
Yes.
dance, and just the very commercialized music. It was a time. It
Yes.
was a good time, people.
See, I was exposed to it. I think like the Jonas Brothers and that kind of stuff was like my first like conscious
Yeah.
choice of going out and picking out my own CD. But my mom, she liked the Backstreet Boys.
Oh,
We had a Backstreet Boys CD in the
yep.
car and I loved it. We also had the Spice Girls.
Oh, yeah.
And my oldest brother apparently would bop to it in the
Who
car.
didn't? Who didn't bop to the Spice
It
Girls?
was a
Come on.
great
It was
it was a
great.
good it was a good time. So, yeah, I love all of the 2000s music. It's really just it has a place in my heart.
Yes, always will.
Yeah. My last one, and this is like kind of a weird like I mean it's not weird, but I know it's going to transition to a bit of a different conversation, but just the cultural impact of the mall.
Oh, yes.
Going to the mall was an event.
I know. Like that was an actual activity of just like, we're going to the mall for the day.
That was kind of before like super fast fashiony brands started to become a thing. If I recall, like I don't really remember seeing a Zara or an H&M and
No,
M and such when we were going
don't
around.
remember those.
Just the brands at that time. You would go into a Hollister store
Mhm.
and you couldn't breathe and you couldn't see anything, but you were like this was a fun experience.
Yeah, like I remember there was American Eagle, American
Yep.
Apparel,
Yep.
Hollister, Stitches, I think if it was Canadian,
Yep.
Blue Notes, which was like the rival, then took over Stitches, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
I think so.
Lazenza. We didn't have
Licenza
Victoria's
girl.
Lazenza Girl. Yes, we didn't have Victoria's Secret, so that you
Yet.
had to go
Yet.
to like
Yet.
the big city for that.
Yep.
What else was there? Oh my gosh. Oh, I remember it being a big deal if you were wearing like Adidas and Nike. Like if I remember having an
Yes.
Adidas hoodie, and
Mhm.
it was like white with the pink Adidas writing, like that,
Oh
even though it
yeah.
was a hoodie, it was one of my most like prized possessions because it was Adidas, or Adidas, sorry.
I I do
Adidas.
yes, I remember that being a thing too, and I remember, like, the mall closest to us, we had Aeropostale,
Hmm.
which was basically the store that would be in your mall if you didn't have Hollister.
Yeah, wasn't that, it was like more desired than Stitches, but it wasn't Hollister. It was like the in between
Yes.
of it.
Yeah, like, it wasn't the Hollister prices, and I did not own a single piece of Hollister clothing
I
because my
didn't
mom
either.
was just like, "This is too expensive."
Yeah, my mom was the same. I think she would walk by the door, even my dad too, and they're like, "We get a headache for you are not shopping in there." And then, oh, Lacoste. 2000s were the era of the popped collar polo, and it was made
Oh,
famous by
yeah.
Lacoste. I think I had one Lacoste shirt, and like I didn't buy it. I think a friend handed it down to me, and like that was the shit. Like she had so many Lacoste shirts, and I was like always really jealous because like sometimes you would double them up for
Mhm.
whatever reason. We would wear two polo shirts, one over top of the other, but you'd have the collar popping through. It was a big deal. Big deal back then.
Well, that's a great transition actually into the next part of this point, which was just questionable fashion trends. of the
Yes.
2000s, because that is one of them. The other one I recall, which was also big in the Disney Channel star world,
Mhm.
was the layering, where you would wear a long sleeve shirt
Mhm.
with a tank top or another short sleeve shirt over top of it.
Yep.
And guys, you could go to a store and buy a shirt that looked like that, except it
Yes.
was just a sleeve
Yeah.
sewn into a short sleeve that made
I
it look
remember
like
those.
you were that
Yeah.
made it look like you were wearing a long
Yeah,
sleeve
but then you had to
shirt.
top it off with the long cardigan over top of it for that 3rd
Oh my
layer.
god, how are we not sweating
Right.
like all the time?
I remember having 2 polo shirts, and I believe they were Blue Notes brand. Um,
Yep.
one was like a chocolate brown, the other one was a light blue, and I would either wear them individually or I would layer them, and I could alternate between having the brown on top with the blue underneath and vice versa. Like,
Oh my
and
god.
then you also had the pleated plaid skirt with the
I
knee-high
remember that.
socks. Do you remember that trend?
I actually liked that
It
look.
was a good look. It was a good look. I remember us all having like really crazy plaid socks that went with our, clash with our plaid skirts, but it was whatever. It was like a bit of that emo time.
That's one trend where I'm like, bring it back,
Yep.
because it was a cute look.
Yeah. Low rise jeans?
No,
No, never.
no,
Absolutely never coming
no.
back.
Do not bring them back.
Yeah.
This whole episode was for this PSA to say, Gen Zs, stop it.
We've been there,
We
okay?
don't want it.
We have been there. We're not going back. You guys are going to soon realize that low rise anything is not a good idea.
Learn from our
Yeah,
mistakes,
learn from
please.
our mistakes. Let's see. Another trend was the skater shoes.
I did like the skater
Yes,
shoes. I
I
had a couple
I had a couple
pairs.
pairs as well. One was a light colored pair and the other was a dark colored pair, so I'd be ready for like all outfits.
You were ready to go.
Yep. The flared bootcut jeans.
Hmm.
We did not wear skinny jeans back in the day. It was all either bootcut or flared.
There was like a lot of scarves being
There
worn
was,
for
and the
no
skinny
reason.
scarf. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
we switched to the blanket scarf in the 2010s, but in the
Hmm.
2000s, we wore the long, skinny knitted scarf
For no
for
reason.
no reason in the summertime because it
Yeah,
was
like it wasn't
fashionable.
cold.
and
It wasn't
you
cold.
had to tie it the certain way. You couldn't just like
Hmm.
wrap it around yourself. And you had to have the matching beanie as well.
Yes.
That was
Yeah. Oh my
important.
God, the beanies. There
Yes.
were so many questionable hats that I recall from the
Yes.
2000s. Also, I'm just thinking of like, I don't know if you had any of them, like just different like hairstyling things, like the butterfly clips,
Yep.
or I also had like those plastic barrettes
Yes.
that
Yes.
had like a little design on them or
Yep.
something.
Had the barrettes, had the butterfly clips, headbands.
Headbands hurt my head, and does it not hurt other people's heads?
I always remember having a low grade headache whenever wearing those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I remember wearing like a handkerchief in my hair.
That's a cute look.
It was a cute look. I think that was more of a late 90s look that I had, but
Yeah.
yeah, that one I did like. I see it coming back more and more, and I kind of love it.
I want to get some for myself, actually.
Do you remember Bumpits?
Yes, I
Where you
do.
would back comb your hair to have a little poof at the back, and then you'd have your headband
Wow.
in. Do you remember those? And like the Bumpit was to make your hair look bigger at the back.
I remember the infomercial like
Yeah.
it's
And
yesterday.
you
Like
got
I am
2
playing it in
sizes of
my head.
Bumpits. You either had a little Bumpit or a big Bumpit.
And they had like two different colors.
Yes.
They were like, if you're blonde, use this one.
Yeah.
If you're brunette, use this one. Except like the colors like didn't resemble actual hair
I
color
remember it being
in any
gray
way.
for some reason. Like I don't know why, I
Yeah.
think it was gray.
Oh my
And you
god.
had to like brush your hair perfectly so it didn't show.
Oh my god. The other thing I'm thinking of is like the ballet
Oh
flats
my
that had
gosh.
no support for your
Yes.
feet.
Yes, ballet flats were everything. Like after the skater shoe, we went to ballet flats. A poor choice. We were in comfort with shoes falling off, and then we went to flat, absolutely no comfort, and you felt your teeth as you walked.
I'm pretty sure I like gave myself a hairline fracture
Yeah,
wearing one of those, like walking up a hill or something,
yeah.
because there was no
And they
support.
even came with their own bag so you could roll them up and put them in your purse.
Oh my god. Yeah. So many questionable things.
Yep.
Like really, these are the moments where I wish we like filmed our show so that we could just have a bunch of different like celebrity red carpet
Yeah,
looks from the 2000s,
pop-ups.
like I would just be playing those
Yes.
as we're having this discussion, because let me tell you, there was some questionable
It was
things
all,
that.
yeah, it was all very questionable.
Do you remember Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake when they
The
both
denim
wore
suit.
full jean? Yep.
Yep.
What a
What a
time.
time that was.
What a
You
time to
know
be
how
alive.
like we look at different fashion generations and they come around again and we're all like,
Mhm.
yeah, that was a really great look. That was a really great look. I feel like for the 2000s, let's just skip over that one, okay? Because
Let's just leave it alone.
nothing we wore looked that good. Let's just go from the 2000, like the 90s, sorry, to 2010s. Because at least in 2010s, we were more into like the knit sweaters with the skinny jean and the blanket scarf. Like we chilled
Yeah.
a little. We had
Mhm.
no chill in the 2000s.
No, we did not. And please leave the low-waisted,
Yeah.
low-rise jeans and low-rise skirts where they belong. My butt cannot fit in
No.
them.
No, I will not be fitting in that. And, you know, crack kills, people. Crack kills.
Oh my god.
my friend, my
You're
friend
not
always
wrong.
says that whenever she sees someone with really low-rise jeans and like their ass is literally hanging out. Oh my god! Remember the whale tail?
The whale tail?
Okay, we were a little young to have whale tail. It would have been very problematic, but like that was when you had your G-string thong hanging out
Oh, yeah, yeah,
above
yeah.
your low-rise jeans.
Yep.
And so like whenever you'd see someone like that or their like butt was hanging out, she'd be like, "Crack kills, man. Crack kills."
That is
And she'd say that
problematic.
to them as well. It's the best.
No. Ah, see, it kills me too because, like, going back to, One Tree Hill and the Drama Queens podcast,
Mhm.
I just remember this one, I think it was early on when they started the show, where they were just, like, talking smack about the fact where they were like, "What were we wearing?"
What happened to the rest of my shirt and my jeans?
Because it was just full low rise, and I love it when, like, kind of, like, the celebrities and well-known figures of the time also call it out, and they're like, because they kinda set the trends, and they're just like, "What?
You know, right?
Who was dressing me? Why did I agree to
Yeah,
this?"
and the thing about those pants, we were still in the heroin chic from the 90s and like in the Victoria's Secret model age where like you had to be stick thin with like no muscle, no fat or anything. And like your butt did not look cute in those. Like literally it gave you a
No,
flat butt because there was no room for your butt. And the zippers were literally like an inch. That's how low they were. You know,
but, like, did
zippers
it
today.
even
I have a
cover
pair
your
of
butt?
shorts with a zipper on it that is probably 6 to 7 inches long. And those jeans had like 1 inch.
My god. That's the thing, is I still look back and I'm like, were they fitting
I
anything
don't think so.
in them, or was everyone just wearing really long shirts?
I feel like everyone wore really long shirts at the time. Like we were all about that really long torso for some reason.
Yeah, I have nothing left to say on
No,
low-rise jeans.
no, nothing else. Anyway, we hope that you enjoyed our, I don't even know, top list, infamous list of the naughties. As always, send us an email to share your favorite things and we'll talk about it on the show. It's teawithlaurarachele@gmail.com.
And if you feel called to, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, or you can also leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify. It really helps out the show, so we would very much appreciate it if you did so.
Yes, yes. We're gonna apologize. This episode was probably just as chaotic as the 2000s were. But
Yeah.
we hope that, you know, maybe it inspires some nostalgia in you and
Hmm.
you revisit some of your crazy photos of you in strange outfits, or you even go
Yeah.
back and listen to some awesome music or watch those like super problematic drama shows just
Hmm.
to enjoy them for what they are right now. And also, like, take some time away from your phone. Remember those days when we didn't have them and we weren't glued to them 24/7.
Yeah. Go for a walk without it. It's actually quite
It's
nice.
liberating.
It is.
Yes. And with that, live like tea.
Live like tea.